Ask any group of young students what their favorite subject is, and the resounding reply would be recess. Everyone needs and deserves a break. That's why judges call recesses, government officials go into recess, and employers provide break time for their employees. But in the past decade, with the No Child Left Behind Act calling for annual progress on student test scores, some schools have gone as far as eliminating recess altogether. Now, most of us would agree that completely eliminating recess is not a good idea. But what about those students who lose their recess privileges due to misbehavior or missing school assignments? That's what I'd like to talk about today. I'll begin by giving some supporting evidence for withholding recess as a punishment. First of all, the method must be appropriate. It must provide warnings and avoid confrontation. One method, used by Mary Miller, a school teacher in Central Illinois, has proven effective. With the first infraction, she places a yellow circle on the student's desk, letting them know their recess privileges are in danger. With the second infraction, she places a red circle on their desk, letting them know that they will receive a 5-minute recess detention. With the third infraction, she places a black circle on their desk, letting them know their recess privileges will be withheld. She has avoided confrontation because she has not verbally confronted the child and does not point them out to the rest of the class. And she has given them plenty of warning so that they know their behavior has been observed, and the option is up to them whether they improve or not, and it is their choice whether they get recess privileges. Another thing that we need to keep in mind is what happens during recess time is also important. A study conducted last year by pediatrics observed 11,000 8 to 9-year-old children and the effects of recess on their classroom behavior. The children who received at least 15 minutes of recess behaved better in class. With this in mind, we need to make sure that children who lose their recess privileges get outside and get exercise. One method would be to have the children walk around the perimeter of the building thinking about their actions, or in bad weather, they could walk through the hallways. Another method would be to provide a special monitor for disobedient children. That way they do not miss the opportunity to develop important social skills. Another reason that withholding recess is a good option is because it's one of the few options left to teachers. Corporal punishment is no longer allowed. Detention works for some children, but some children are unable to stay after school because they ride the bus and they don't have a parent available to pick them up. Suspension rarely works because most children are happy to have the day off from school. Now I'd like to provide some of the negative aspects of withholding recess as a punishment. First of all, a lack of warnings makes a child feel like they did not have an option and that it is not their fault that they've lost recess. Having verbal confrontations can cause what Barbara Coloroso, a prominent parenting author, calls the 3 F's: fear, fighting back, and fleeing. Punishment often causes a bad reaction in children and can increase their misbehavior. Again, what takes place during their recess time is important. Dr. Stuart Brown conducted an experiment with rats where he withheld their rough and tumble play. As the rats developed, as the rats grew, they did not develop important social skills. Children also need this time for rough and tumble play in order to develop their social skills. If they are denied recess, they often don't have any other opportunity to play with other children of their age. Again, some professionals that are against the use of recess, withholding recess as a punishment, include Dr. Romino M. Barros, a clinical physician at the pediatrician and assistant clinical professor at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. She believes recess should be part of the curriculum. You wouldn't punish a kid by having them miss math class, so you shouldn't punish them by having them miss recess. Also, Article 31 of the United Nations Convention on Children's Rights states that every child has a right to leisure time. Taking away recess, whether as a disciplinary measure or abolishing it in the name of academic studies, infringes on that right. My conclusions, based on my research are that recess is an essential part of every child's education. If it is to be used as an effective punishment, it must be used sparingly and appropriately. As Albert Einstein once said, if people are good only because they fear punishment or hope for reward, then we are a sorry lot indeed.